Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Beliefcast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester, your host of the Beliefcast. Today, I sit down with an extraordinary woman who is helping redefine what modern healthcare can look like. Stacy Welker is a board-certified nurse practitioner, functional and regenerative medicine expert, and founder of Alea Health and Wellness. After years in emergency medicine and trauma surgery, Stacy realized too many people were being stabilized but not truly healed. That realization launched a mission to uncover root causes, optimize health, and help people transform the trajectory of aging itself. Today, she specializes in hormone therapy, metabolic health, longevity medicine, and empowering both patients and providers to think differently about healing. She really carries herself in such a powerful way. That's really what caught my eye. And, as you guys know, I feature a lot of amazing people on this show, and Stacy's going to be one of those in that lineup. I want to also thank you guys for tuning in, and I want to thank my sponsors. Without you, I wouldn't be able to do this, so thank you so much for believing in me. And so we are very fortunate today to have Stacy. So Stacy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So you're obviously doing a lot of good things out there. You're very passionate about health and wellness, which I'm excited to talk to you about because I try to make that a priority in my life, right?
Yeah.
And I think it for my overall mental health, if I'm doing those kind of things, it really makes a huge difference. So I can't wait to learn more from you today.
All right.
But why don't we start off for our listeners who may not know you, a little bit about your background. Where did you grow up, and maybe a little bit about your family?
Okay. Yeah. So I actually grew up here. I was
Okay.
born in Murray. So when I
All
think
right.
of home, Murray is home to me.
All right.
I lived in Murray till I was about 9 years old. When I was 8, my parents got divorced, and we actually moved in with my grandma. She lived in Murray. She was kind of like she was my support. She was kind of my everything. And my mom got remarried when I was 9, and we moved to Orem. And so I still have a hard time thinking Orem is home or where I grew up, because Murray just kind of has my heart. But grew up in Orem, went to Orem High, and then started going to college back when it was UVSC, Utah Valley University. Went to college for just about a year, ended up getting married, and that was kind of the end of my college career at that time.
Oh, yeah.
So I was married for 14 years. And had 3 beautiful children.
Right on.
And they were just kind of my life. And I was fortunate enough to get to stay home with them while they were little, and ended up getting divorced 14 years after we were married. And yeah, that was a really tough time.
Sure.
Very, very tough time. And I had 3 little kids and didn't really know what I wanted to do. And that's kind of where I kind of backtracked a little bit. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, again, thanks for sharing that. Let's if we can go back a little bit, being so young and seeing your own parents divorce. I mean, I know that's a long time ago, but can you kind of reflect back on how did you handle that as a kid? Yeah,
it was a really tough time, but I will say, and this might sound kind of odd, when my parents got divorced, I was relieved. I did not grow up in a very happy home. And so when my parents divorced, I was actually felt, relief as a child.
Okay.
And, not to speak negatively about either parent, but it wasn't a good experience. It wasn't a good upbringing. And so it was a sense of relief for me. It was harder for me to leave when my mom got remarried and leave my grandma and kind of start out a different life. That was more challenging for me than actually when my parents got divorced.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot, where sometimes the child is relieved just because it wasn't healthy.
Yeah. Yes,
right. And they notice
definitely.
That and they witness that as hard as that is anyways. Right.
Right.
So, and then living with, your grandma, I mean, that's not a normal upbringing.
No, it wasn't. It was a different upbringing. Definitely. She was really my guide and my direction in life. And that's who I would go to for really anything I needed was her. Yeah. We were very close growing up, and she was just kind of my heart,
Yeah.
So
I know this is a loaded question, but what were some of maybe the lessons you learned because of what you went through?
Well, as a young child, it was hard to recognize, right?
Yeah.
Because it was just kind of a jumble, right? But as I've grown up, and going through my own divorce, right? Because I remember thinking, I'm never going to get divorced. I'm never going to put my kids through that. You always say things like that.
Sure, yeah.
And I think the lessons I've learned was, my mom was doing the best she could. She was doing the best she could to raise us and start a new marriage and a new life. And I kind of had to sit back and respect that.
Yeah.
And kind of learn that maybe as you perceive things that you're going through, maybe as a child, coming at that from a different perspective as you grow up and saying, you know what, think about how my mom was doing through that, was something that I've kind of had to learn, like put yourself in someone else's shoes a little bit.
Yeah.
And see where they were sitting in that situation versus maybe yourself.
Yeah, I love that. Do you ever watch Ted Lasso?
You know what? I have been asked this so many times, and no, I've never seen it.
Anyway, it's a great show.
I've heard that.
But there's a scene in this show where he gets challenged. Ted Lasso gets challenged at a dart throwing contest. Anyway, but he shares a quote by Walt Whitman. Mm-hmm. I actually looked it up, and Walt Whitman didn't actually say it. But anyway, so we'll give Ted Lasso the credit. But he said, "Be curious and not judgmental."
Yes.
And I think that's ultimately what you just said there is if we're curious about someone, like putting ourselves in their shoes, we're asking them a lot of questions. We get to understand where they're coming from.
Right.
And I love that you said that you recognize, and it kind of, I don't know, I get kind of emotional about this. Your mom was doing the best that she could at the time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Giving her that grace, if you will.
She's a wonderful woman, very strong, and she did the best she could and tried to give us the best life she could. And but it was a tough time for her, for us. It was a tough time for sure. Yeah.
And if we fast forward, you went through a divorce as well.
Yes.
And we don't have to get into all those details, but again, it's fair to say even you were doing the best that you could with what you were dealing with. And,
exactly.
And vice versa, right?
Yes. I found myself in a very similar situation as my mom was.
Yeah.
And really was trying to do the best I could by my kids. And it's tough, and I think over the years I've really sat back and, I think I probably was a little harder on my mom for a long time. And now that I've been through what I've been through, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have been like that, and that's where I've had to change my inside, inside me a little bit and say, no, I was doing the best I could do, provide for my kids. She did the best thing she could do, given a terrible situation,
No, I love that too. That perspective is awesome. I think, we don't a lot of times understand unless we go through something similar.
Yes.
And, in my background, I work with a lot of, alcoholic and drug addicts who are struggling with that and mental health issues. And obviously I can relate to that because I've been through it as well. Mm-hmm. Is it fair to say, since you've been through what you did with, as a child watching parents divorce, you've gone through it as well, that you have more compassion for those people who go through that because of
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. And I also, I see a lot of patients, I encounter a lot of people that kind of hang on to that, like, no, I've got to stay in this really bad situation, due to this or to that. And so I have compassion for that too, because I can understand that side of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer that life happens for us and not to us. And I think that's what it is. Like, what if, and I'm just throwing this out as a what if, like, what if you had gone through all of this just so you could have that compassion on a level that you have today?
I think that's so true. I really do. I think that you'd go through things so that you can learn and grow from that. And I do sit back now and say, for a long time I didn't. A long time I was like, gosh, this is horrible and what I'm going through is terrible. And now I sit back and go, gosh, I've learned a lot of lessons along the way and I'm a completely different person. And I feel like I've grown so much from those experiences and look at others differently now.
For sure.
I do think it's...
How has that perspective and these lessons helped you actually be a better mom to your 3 children?
Oh, that's hard. Because, I think we all have our own autonomy and we all have our own choices that we make.
Yeah.
I think for a long time I was really hard on my kids because I was like, no, you need to go to school. You need to get your life in order because you never know what's going to happen to you in the future. And so I think I was really hard. And obviously all my children will tell you that. But over the years, I've kind of softened and said, you know what?
Yeah.
You're going to experience things. You have choices. You're just going to have to be able to muddle through them best you can. But I want to be there to support you.
Yeah.
I'm here for you.
Yeah.
To help and guide you rather than throwing you to the wolves. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it did. And again, to your point again, you were doing the best that you could with the situation you were dealing with.
Right.
I mean, I don't even know what that would be like to be a single mom all of a sudden. And I'm in charge of these kids and making sure that they make it through this world.
Yeah. It was a scary time.
That's heavy.
It was scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of prayers were said during that time because it was a scary time for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that caught my eye is that you're so passionate about helping other people, especially in the health and wellness sector. But I think overall, you have just this heart to make a difference in people's lives. Has that been kind of how did you notice that even as a younger self of you, that you loved helping others?
Yes, I always have. I always, remember as a child, and this is kind of a funny story, going to elementary school and when my parents were married and then getting divorced, I went to several elementary schools. Like I was not in a stable school situation. We jumped around a lot. And so I didn't have friends. And I always remember looking for the kid that was sitting alone at lunch because I didn't want them to sit alone.
Yeah.
And so I would go and sit by somebody just because it made me sad to see someone alone. And so I've kind of always tried to be, a helpmate to people that I've encountered. And, I've had things happen in my own life where I've been on that side and had to receive the help. Yeah. And, so I think that that's influenced me as well.
No, I think that's awesome. I think that's what makes you obviously good at what you're doing today. So, obviously you're doing these amazing things right now. We'll get to that in a minute. But what was the switch, if there was a switch that, something that clicked that you wanted to be in this field of medicine and to help people in this area? Like, why are you so passionate about it?
Well, it's kind of twofold for me. Okay. So when I was 16, I had an experience and I had my own health challenge. And I was 16 and I thought I had a heart attack and I had extreme chest pain, just terrible. Yeah. Sat down on a couch. I wasn't doing anything amazing, just sat down and, my mom took me to the hospital. They didn't find anything. And over the next week, I laid on the couch, literally slowly dying. And I had kind of an experience that happened. And the ER physician called my mom in the middle of the night, like 5 days later, and said, "Hey, I had a feeling to pull up her chest x-ray and you need to get her to the hospital right now or she could die." And that was kind of the start of me. I mean, I always kind of knew even as a child I wanted to be in medicine, but that experience, and I was in and out of the hospital for my entire junior year of high school. And so I missed that. Wow. And I was alone a lot in the hospital and around nurses, around doctors. And that was the first time I was like, I want to be there for people on the worst day of their life. That's really where I kind of started down. I wanted to go right out of high school and start working to go to medical school. And that was kind of my entry into why I wanted to go into medicine in the first place. Wow. And then fast forward years down the road after I, was working in the emergency department and then took a job as a first assist with trauma and general surgery. Then I had another experience happen. And that's kind of where my trajectory changed from conventional allopathic medicine into this functional, more preventative medicine.
Right.
I had,
mind sharing that?
Yeah, I can share that. So it was kind of a funny thing. I was working at a first assist with trauma and general surgery, like I said, and I was the only provider from our group that was on nights. And so it was just me in the hospital, no surgeon, no one else. And they really trusted me. I'd come from the emergency room. I had a background in that. And so I would call them if I needed them. But for the most part, I managed, ER patients, ICU patients. And I would work 4 nights a row, and I had kind of a weird stretch 1 week, and I was kind of burned out, and I was kind of tired of working nights. I was, early to mid 40s, already going through some things that I didn't even realize were happening to me. Yeah. And I had this stretch of every single night that in 1 week where I would get called to the emergency department around 2 or 3 a.m. and I would have to go see an emergent bowel case. And we'd have to take him emergently up to the operating room, and they would have to resect their bowel. And by the 4th night, I was like, this has got to stop. I was done. And I remember going in and seeing this patient and just sitting at the bedside and just sitting down with her and saying, "Can I ask you a question?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I said, "When did you first know you weren't healthy?" And she looked at me like I was crazy.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? She's like, what do you mean? Yeah. I do everything my doctor said. I take my blood pressure medication. I take my diabetes medication. I take my high cholesterol medication. And it was like a light bulb switched in my head. It was just, what are we doing out there
right,
to prevent this from happening, right? What could we have done out in the outpatient world to prevent this patient from having to go emergently to the operating room?
Right.
And it kind of it kind of turned me on my side a little.
Almost like it was an answer to a calling that you were going to be a part of.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Right?
Yeah, it was kind of the beginning of the end of my previous career.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You said something that really hit me hard when you said, I want to be with, I might butcher this, I want to be with the person on their hardest day of their life. Is that how you said that? Whoa.
That was my goal.
Think about, go back to when you wanted to sit by the person who was sitting alone. That could have been the worst day of their life.
Right.
But yet you sat by them, and maybe it made them want to be here a little longer, or man, maybe this world is actually pretty good because this person actually sat and talked to me for a minute.
Yeah. Oh,
wow.
I might cry.
I know.
But yeah, that has kind of been really my mantra for my whole life. Like, I wanted to be there and help someone through their worst time.
Whew.
And
you see, I look at people like you, when I've gone to the ER before and just the nurses and everyone helping out, I'm just like, you guys are incredible that you would even do this.
It's a rough world to be a part of, for sure.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Like, I have the weakest stomach, and I'm like, the stuff you guys deal with. But again, I look at you. This might sound cheesy, but it's how I feel, like that you're angels in those moments, because I've been in my darkest moments where they were there, and it's like, man, you're here helping me through this. So I'm sure so many people look at you that way.
I appreciate that. That's nice to hear. But yeah, it's been an interesting ride for sure.
So when you had this kind of aha moment, like, you know what, I want to be a part of like figuring this out and doing something about this. Yeah. Is that what ultimately led to you to Alea Health and Wellness? Yeah, it is. After that experience, I kind of was frustrated.
I actually ranted in a Facebook group about medicine. And I had this other nurse practitioner call me, and she said, "Have you heard of functional medicine?" And I said, "No, I'd never heard of functional medicine.
Yeah.
Didn't even know it was a thing."
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, you should check into this." And she got me connected with the School of Applied Functional Medicine. And I took a little mini course, and then I applied to the school. And I started doing that as I was doing surgery. I went back to school to do this. And that's where I started to kind of go, okay, this is maybe where my calling is.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to keep people out of the operating room, keep people out of the ER, and I still respect those disciplines for sure. I mean, they're there and they're definitely needed.
Right.
But if I can keep some patients out and lessen their load a little bit, why not?
Why not?
And give someone a different kind of life in the outpatient world and through medicine and a different experience going to the doctor, then that's my goal now.
Oh, I love that. For those who are listening right now that may not know what functional medicine is, would you mind explaining that a little bit for us?
Yeah, of course. So functional medicine is really a different way of looking at a patient. Really, we're looking at root cause. Okay. So in conventional medicine, we say, okay, you have high blood pressure. Here's a medication for that. Oh, you have this symptom. Let's treat that symptom.
Yeah.
We're not treating symptoms. We're treating the root cause, whether that goes clear back to cellular levels, right? To fix cellular things, to help the body work better, because the body innately knows how to heal. Sometimes we just get in the way a little bit.
Yeah.
And so by going all the way back to the root cause, and the root cause might be childhood trauma. It might be poor hydration. I mean, it might be something small. It might be something larger that hasn't been taken care of that over time creates chronic disease. And so we back that up quite a bit, and we look at the body as all things are interconnected. Right? Not siloed, right?
Okay.
Cardiology isn't siloed from neurology. It's all connected in a different way. Yeah.
So if one thing's off, it kind of throws everything off.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And I think you talk a lot about how inflammation is one of the biggest reasons why we're hurting.
Yes.
Explain
definitely.
that.
Inflammation, I really truly believe, is the beginning of chronic disease.
Okay.
Okay. So you look at plaque buildup in the arteries. inflammation, right? You look at diabetes, massive amounts of inflammation, right? All of this stems from inflammation. Well, what causes inflammation, right? That's when we start to say, well, what's causing that in your life, right? Are you eating a lot of processed food? Are you not exercising? Are you not getting sleep? There's a lot of things that can cause inflammation. And so I do believe that if you can go back enough and fix the cause of inflammation, you'll fix chronic disease.
Yeah. So, you created, am I saying this right, Alea?
Alea Health and Wellness.
Yeah. So this is your baby.
Yep.
So for those who don't know what that is, what does that look like? And if who would be your typical client coming in there to get your services?
So Alea Health and Wellness is a functional and regenerative medicine clinic, meaning that we really focus on root cause medicine, and it's a different experience when you come in to see me.
Right.
We take a really deep dive, and some people always say, like, is this part therapy? Because we take a big deep dive into your life and into your experience and all things that pertain to you. Mm-hmm. And my typical patient has seen probably 10 other providers before coming to me.
Really?
They're usually at their wit's end. They're usually frustrated with medicine and not getting help, or told your labs look normal, yet they have a gazillion, symptoms that don't match these so-called normal labs. And so patients that come in to see me want that deeper dive, want some real answers, and they're ready to be a partner on their own medical journey. And that's kind of what I ask of patients is, I can do as much as I can do for you. I can give you every tool in my tool bag, but you have to be my partner on that, and you have to work with me to heal you.
Yeah.
So
you need to walk the walk.
You got to. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I'll guide you.
It's
but
hard.
You gotta,
it's harder on you than me, for sure. Yeah.
It's like, hey, please fix me.
I know. Right. And I see those patients as well. And sometimes we have to have a conversation about that. But so we focus on root cause medicine. We do a lot of other things as well. We do a lot of stem cell therapy and and peptide therapy, things that we can use in addition to the hard work of root cause medicine.
Yeah. It sounds like you empower your patients.
That's one of my big goals. Yeah. I want my patients to take charge of their health, right? You're in the driver's seat here, not me.
Right.
I'm sitting in the passenger seat telling you where to go, right?
Right.
I'm your backseat driver.
Yeah. Turn here.
Yes,
turn
exactly.
left. Yeah.
But I want them to take their health on and to be empowered that they can do this,
Yeah. What are some of the glaring things that you see that people are wrestling with? All these clients that you see over and over again, is there something that stands out? Like, man, people are they're stuck here, or this is the big thing that I keep seeing.
Stress. Stress is a massive contributor. Okay. And I always tell patients there's a couple of things, and I usually refer to stress and lack of sleep. That will create chronic disease out of thin air.
Really?
And I see so many patients just completely stressed out of their minds and unable or unwilling to change their circumstances. And so we have to obviously work with them and say, okay, we can only meet you where you're at, right? I'm not going to tell you to quit your job or, do things like that. But managing stress and realizing there's little things you can do for your body and your nervous system to regulate again, because from stress comes dysregulated nervous system.
Yeah.
Living in that fight or flight mode.
I saw one of your posts where you talked about, you could go get your labs done and it can come back normal, but that doesn't mean there isn't an issue here.
Right.
But no one's taught us that. You see normal, you're like, I'm good. So you forget about it, but then you're going, man, I'm still struggling.
Yes.
So explain that a little bit to us and what that means.
So it's funny because I hear that a lot. Patients come in, my doctor says my labs are normal. Well, I've yet to see normal labs. So when we look at lab ranges on your traditional lab printout that you get from your doctor, those lab ranges are a population control, right? Those are made for our sick population. Well, why do you want to be in that sick population? Right.
Yeah, right.
And so I use functional optimal ranges. And so I'm looking for early patterns that I can reverse before you end up having a big chronic disease. And so, yes, I've not seen normal labs yet. I keep waiting. But it's never there. And then we also use different kind of labs. We're looking at what's your biological age. Let's look at hormones differently. I look at what your body does with hormones, what pathways you take to detox those hormones out. I look at toxin testing. I look at a lot of different functional testing that goes deeper into what's really going on underneath versus a blood draw.
Again, back to the root causes.
Yes.
And what I love that is it's very thorough.
Yes.
Like it sounds like you walk out of an appointment with you and they're going, okay, I know at least what I'm dealing with here.
Yes.
And what I need to start doing.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of information there.
There's a ton of information, and most people kind of walk out a little glass-eyed. Yeah. But I really try hard to set a plan of care up for them and follow up with emails, and I see them frequently. And so we're moving through the steps and not overwhelming them at one time with, this is going to be your plan for the next year, So we can take this step by step.
Yeah, I love that.
Not overwhelm them.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on how does our overall physical health affect our mental health?
Greatly, and I think vice versa.
Okay.
Right? I think that our physical body, obviously, if we're not exercising, we're not eating nutritious food, that will directly inhibit cellular cycles, right? So cells run on micronutrients. That's how we generate ATP in our cells. That's how we clean up the system, right? There's so many cellular cycles that happen. And if we're not taking in good nutritious food, for one thing, or we're not hydrating enough, right? Yeah. We're not going to be able to run those cellular cycles. And so I think, yes, the physical body and what we do physically completely impacts or impairs, either illness or wellness. And same thing with sleep as well. If we don't sleep, our body can't rest, it can't heal, it can't repair and recover. And so that has a big, big problem. Yeah. And then on that, right, when you don't feel good and your cells aren't running optimally, mentally you're going to have a hard time. And the other thing that I talk to patients a lot about is gut health, right? I tell patients the gut microbiome is the center of your body's world, right? We have trillions of microbes in our gut, more than we have cells in our body. Wow. And if that's not, well balanced, that's going to run the show. And you think about mental health, well, about 90 to 95% of serotonin, our feel-good neurotransmitter, is made in our gut. Wow. Around 80% of dopamine.
And probably 99% of us don't even know that.
Right. And so you can see that what food we eat impacts our gut microbiome, our stress impacts our gut microbiome, our lack of sleep, or all of that impacts that gut microbiome. And then we can end up having depression, anxiety, different kind of more mental illness type things, or mental health problems or challenges just because our gut microbiome is off.
Man, it makes so much sense because I was just thinking of my own life. Like I know when I don't eat very clean, if that's the word, I don't feel good.
No, you don't.
And not only do I not feel good physically, I do mentally. I don't feel as sharp. I am sluggish. I then even feel depressed.
Yes.
And I think you're right. I think I can see how those so much correlate. I've always been confused, and I think maybe even people listening, about gut health. Like, I mean, what does that ultimately mean though? Like, because it's hard to kind of wrap our minds around
that. It's a big topic for sure. When I think of gut health, I really think of the gut microbiome, right? We're looking at good bacteria that you have that are protective. We think of opportunistic bacteria that can become bad if given an opportunity. And we think about pathogens, right? Parasites and viruses and fungus and different types of problems there, and how that balance of microbes needs to be very well balanced in order for our body to run well, right? Yeah. And gut health really, like I say, it's the center of the world. And if I could pick one test that everyone should get, it would be a stool test, a very comprehensive stool test, because I feel like it runs the show.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I think of gut health. And obviously, gut health on Instagram is like, oh, you need to do this or do that. It's a little bit different. Like, take this supplement, take that supplement. When I'm working with someone on their gut health, it's a very targeted, specific, precision medicine plan that we do.
Well, it's because you've done the testing.
Right.
If you're seeing something on social media, hey, take this.
Yes.
They don't know your background. No. They have no clue what's going on.
No.
It's like, oh, take this. And then you take it and nothing happens. Right. You spend all this money.
Yeah.
But I love what you do is you guys do a thorough, assessment on everything, it sounds like.
Yes, we do.
And therefore you know what to work with.
Yeah, exactly.
This person may need this person may need something different.
Yeah, and I see so many patients, and I can tell you, I don't think I've ever treated two patients the same. Wow. Right? It's very deliberate, and it's very precise to your makeup and what you need.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. Well, again, I love just kind of the way you carry yourself. Like, you even talking about this, you light up. Like, you really do. Your energy just raises.
I know, it's weird. I love it.
It's your passion.
Yes,
right?
It is. Yeah.
So you're treating people all the time. How do you handle that? Because that can also be exhausting for you.
It is exhausting.
Because you're giving your all.
Yes.
Right?
It can get frustrating. Obviously, you want everyone to do well and you want everyone to be healthy and you don't always, it's not always a success story out of the gates, right?
Yeah.
And I do spend a lot of time talking with my patients and listening. And that's one thing that I've had to learn over time is listening to them and understanding their story.
I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible sponsors of the Beliefcast podcast. First, Craig from Craig Swap and Associates. If you need an attorney, he's your guy. Trustworthy, compassionate, always there when you need him most. Next, Wasatch Recovery, the greatest university on the planet, transforming lives one day at a time. Sandy from Minky Couture, the creative genius behind the most comfortable blanket you'll ever wrap yourself in. Comfort like no other. Special thanks to the award-winning pianist Paul Cardall for his beautiful music that brings inspiration to every episode.
Story and where they're at, where they've been, and sometimes it can be mentally exhausting. Yeah, sometimes I can get home and my husband will be like, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Listen,
I need
to go for a walk. Let me get outside for a minute. But
Totally.
I try.
Totally.
So I do take deliberate steps to maintain my own mental health, right?
Yeah.
So sleep is the number one priority for me. Like I make sure to get at least 8 hours a night.
Okay.
I mean, that is a non-negotiable, right? I eat a very protein-forward diet. That's very protective.
Sure.
And my diet is pretty clean.
Yeah.
And I try to get at least 10 minutes of morning sunlight in the morning once the sun comes up.
Yeah.
And that kind of helps set my serotonin rhythm, my circadian rhythm. And those kind of things help. Obviously, working out is a big priority for me too. And that's a big stress reliever for me. I'm a very anxiety-ridden person anyway.
Yeah.
And so when I don't work out, even my husband's like, you need to get in the gym a little bit.
Hit the gym there.
Yeah. So I try to take steps to where I can make myself well enough to be able to help my patients because it can be exhausting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm glad you shared that because that was going to be one of my questions. Like, what do you do for your mental health? And, I agree on the exercise piece. For me, I'm an anxious person just in general, it feels like. And I call it my morning medication.
I love it.
I'm going to go take my medication. I'm going to the gym.
Yep.
And it really does set me for the day.
It does.
And I go to the gym just for that reason. I'm not trying to get big muscles. I'm not trying to, I feel good.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing how different you feel if you just move your body.
Yes.
Throw some weights around, it feels good.
Yeah, it's incredible. When I was recording my first course for Functional Longevity Academy, I kind of slacked off in that area because I was so busy and I was recording every second. Like I didn't take a day off for months, for like 4 months.
Wow.
And I kind of slacked off there and boy, did my mental health go down. I mean, it just was, it was not worth it at all because I need that. I need that outlet. So
yeah,
I do a lot of walking too.
I wanted to also ask you, what do you do to keep your mind sharp? Is there any specific things there? Or I know they all probably feed into each other, right? I know when I work out, my mind's clearer.
Sure.
I'm not sluggish, that kind of thing. But do you do anything else other just like kind of get your mind? Do you read books? Do you listen to things?
I do. I mean, I read a lot of studies. So I'm pretty nerdy. I read a lot of studies and I write a lot of notes. And I know that sounds weird, but for me, if I listen to something and I'm taking notes, mentally I remember that better.
Sure.
And so that's kind of always been me. I have hundreds of notebooks throughout my house, my office. It's kind of ridiculous. And so that's one thing that I'm always doing. I'm always looking for research that I can dive into. I do listen to a lot of podcasts. I like a lot of podcasts on health and wellness and things I can learn. If I'm going to be reading, I want to be learning. Like I'm not one that's really going to pick up a novel. Yeah. My assistant always gives me books and they sit there and I just can't. Like I just really struggle with that. So if I'm going to read something, it's to make me learn something that I don't know.
Well, again, I think that's why you're so good at what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're constantly learning. I think that's fantastic. So you brought up your Functional Longevity Academy.
Yes.
What is that and why did you put this together?
So it's basically an online school to teach people how to do what I do. I had so many nurses and nurse practitioners, say, can you teach me? Can you mentor me? Can I come in your clinic? And that's a little daunting for me because I'm busy and, I'm really focused on my patients. And then to have the time to teach functional medicine that way, I don't feel like it works well. Yeah. And when I went to functional medicine school, it was a 3-year program and it was long. And there was a lot of things that I was like, do we really could we cut it down? Could we,
is all this
could you give me the
necessary?
basics? Give me what I need to know to start a practice, to get out there and do this.
Yeah.
And so I decided I'm going to do this.
Okay.
And so I created the Functional Longevity Academy.
That's amazing.
We have one course out right now, which is the Functional Medicine Framework, which is basically just the basics, the beginning of how to do functional medicine.
Okay.
And I bring in a lot of my experiences, a lot of the ways I do things in my own practice. And it's for health coaches and nurses, other providers, physicians, whomever wants to get into functional medicine that has some sort of a background. And they can just purchase the course. It's online. We do a mentorship class once a month, and we get on together. And if they have questions, I answer them or try to teach them. So we've got other courses in the lineup, but
I love that you're willing to help others do what you do.
There's so many patients to help that this is not a competition.
Yeah, you're like, I can't take them all.
This is not, I love functional medicine that much that I think everyone should at least have a little bit of knowledge in it. And so it's out there for everybody. Yeah,
I love that. You know, you're going to laugh when I say this, but you know, when I was studying you and all the stuff that you're doing, and the post where you talked about a normal blood labs doesn't mean it's necessarily normal. What if it comes back as abnormal?
So then, well, and they do.
And here's why I'm laughing, because mine came back as abnormal.
Really?
And I thought, what's wrong? I was a little nervous about it, and I still don't have the answers behind it, but
really,
I would love to hear your thoughts. I know this is kind of a weird question now, but
that's fine.
I was laughing. I was like, oh crap. Well, what if it says abnormal?
Yeah. Which I see most of, right? I mean, most things I see abnormal. And it obviously depends on what lab marker's abnormal. Yeah. Right? Depending on,
I think it was my cholesterol was a little out of whack.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's why it was abnormal.
Yeah. But. And cholesterol is a great topic to talk about because it's like demonized in conventional medicine. It really is, right? Yeah. Cholesterol, while we don't want it too high, we do want it high enough that you can make cell membranes and your brain can work and you can build hormones, right? That's what builds hormones is cholesterol. Yeah. And so I don't like to drive that to rock bottom levels, but there can be some underlying things that can cause, increased cholesterol. Right. We see that especially with women, as we go through perimenopause and menopause. Right, yeah. When we lose our estrogen, we see a natural incline in our cholesterol levels. I do a deeper dive on cholesterol. Your total cholesterol might be, say, 300. Okay, well, what's your lipoprotein A? That's a genetic risk factor for creating cardiovascular disease and plaque buildup in the arteries, right? Okay. What's that number? Right? And what's your ApoB? That tells me how many particles, how big the particles are. That tells me more about your cholesterol, those two markers, than say your LDL or your total
HDLs.
cholesterol. Yeah.
Okay.
So cool. I look at that and say, okay, well, let's bring it down, right? Even though this is genetic, you can move genetic markers. Yeah. So I do it all the time.
We'll we have more to talk about here off camera.
For sure.
Yeah. So what do you do when you want to just take the day off? What are your hobbies? What does that look like when you just kind of set up your perfect day?
I love golfing.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I love to golf. So usually if my husband and I can get a day off, that's what we do.
Really?
Right? Golfing is a big thing for us.
Cool.
I love anything outdoors, really.
Yeah.
Like I go for a lot of walks. We live obviously in southern Utah, so we have a beautiful area to go hike around in.
Yeah,
my husband's not a big hiker, I will say that, but I love to golf. I love to do that. My perfect morning, I would like a slow morning. I'm not going to lie. Like I like a slow morning with my husband. Got 2 dogs. All my kids are out of the house and grown up. And anything outdoors, I love to go have lunch on a nice patio. Yeah. I'm pretty easygoing. I mean, I love to go to the lake. I love boating. So
very cool.
Anything like that.
Okay.
I love the sun.
This question always gets people hits them a little bit, but what do you love most about yourself?
Ooh, that's hard. I think I love most about myself is my resilience. Okay. I feel like I'm a very resilient person, and I feel like I've gone through really hard things in my life. Mm-hmm. And I think obviously I've evolved over time, and that's one thing that I like about myself. And I like the other thing that I'm very driven. Yeah. I'm very driven. I'm always, my husband's always like, oh, can we just stop? But I'm always like, what's the next thing? Yeah. What am I going to do next? How can I make this better?
Sure.
And so I'm very driven.
Love that.
But those things.
It's funny you say that. Yesterday I was doing a psycho ed group with our clients here, and we were talking about the difference between being motivated or driven.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the differences, and then I brought up David Goggins, who a lot of people know, and he says, I'm not a motivated person, but I am a driven person.
Yes.
And you really are. That's the way you come across, as this driven person. And I think it's because of the passion you have for what you're doing and to help other people. I think it's amazing, honestly.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, why you're doing so well at it.
Well, I have, I've had some help along the way, obviously.
Yeah.
My husband's been my biggest supporter, my biggest cheerleader on the side. And
that's awesome.
I could not have done what I'm doing without him.
Great. What's your husband's name?
His name's Mike.
Mike. Well, let's give a shout out to Mike.
Yep. He's
Good
great.
job, Mike.
So
yeah,
I appreciate all the kind comments, but
yeah, that's beautiful. If there's someone tuning into this episode right now and they're listening to you and they're in a dark place and they're struggling and maybe they don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
What would you tell that person right now?
I would love to see them and help them. I mean, I've seen several patients just like this.
Yeah.
And I've been there myself. I've had some deep, dark times in my life, and I don't like it when people just sit in that, alone, right?
Yeah.
I don't want someone to be alone. So even if they feel they can't do all of the things, come in and let's do something, let's do something. Even if you sit and we talk and we make one small change in your life for the better, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Don't sit with it, because there's help out there, whether it's someone else, whether it's me. I mean, there's so many people out there willing to help.
Well, like you said, a lot of what you do is like therapy, and them just coming in and talking to you, that might just be exactly what they need, right?
Right. Yeah. I've had several patients like that. Yeah, several patients. So.
Wow, that's amazing. If someone wants to reach out to you and learn more about your health and wellness and your longevity academy, functional longevity academy, and they want to learn more about that or ask you a question or get more involved and sign up for all the things you do, how would they do that?
So you can always go to my website. Our phone number, email is on there. You can always call my office.
And what's your website?
So my website is just aleahealthandwellness.com. And all the information is there. So I'm more than willing to take a discovery call, talk to patients. I really like talking to new patients who want to book an appointment. My assistant she does a great job, and she does most of it. But if I can pick up the phone here and there, I do like to just connect with a patient. So more than happy to take an email, a phone call. Okay. You can send me a DM. I won't give medical advice on socials, but
which makes sense.
Yeah, but they can always reach out and get in contact with me with that way as well. So
great. Yeah. Awesome. What's the next big thing you're going to be working on?
We're changing a little bit in the clinic. So we're making some big changes, trying to get out a little bit more, maybe nationwide. So that's kind of coming out.
Yeah.
Bringing on some health coaches to kind of help me. Nice. I've got a couple of nurses that work for me right now. So we'll see if we need to expand that. But that's kind of Alea Health and Wellness is expanding. And then obviously just bringing on more courses for the Functional Longevity Academy. That's kind of my next thing. Yeah. I just started writing a new course 2 days ago. So.
Well, you are a go-getter. It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's a little, it can be a little ridiculous, but yeah.
Hey. Well, again, you're passionate about it. You love doing it. You can see it when you talk about it. You light up. It's like you can tell this is your thing. So
yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough for taking some time, Stacy, with me today. And again, I appreciate you being willing. I sent you a random message, so thank you for responding to me.
Of course.
You're like, who's this guy? But again, I love the way you carry yourself. This is a very important subject to me because I do know it affects not only our physical health, but our mental health as well.
Definitely.
They go together, and I'm really big about that, and that's who I'm dealing with in my field. So your information and your passion is going to help them as well. So thank you for being on the show today.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. And this has been wonderful. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I'll put the links to your website and all that on the show notes so they can go right to you.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Well, thanks for being here.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You bet. Well, there you go, guys. Stacy Welker. Please reach out to her, Alea Health and Wellness. Click on that link you can see right there and ask her a question. If you're feeling sluggish, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling anxious, whatever it may be, it's worth the conversation. So please reach out to her. Check out all the good she's doing. I mean, I feel good just sitting here talking to her. I do. I feel better. I really do. Just again, and maybe that's what you guys need is just a conversation, and she'll do that as well. So thank you for tuning in. Again, thanks to my sponsors. Without you, I would not be able to do this. So thank you so much for believing in me, and I love you guys. Until next time.